What's going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, bros and broettes and shit? Today we're coming to you live from Florida, Athletic Apex. It is January 7th, 8 o'clock, and we're going to be shooting a back workout for you guys. But first, I'm going to take a scoop of Utopian. Dino just sent us new shakers, so let's get that down and get to the workout. Now it's time to get it.
Alright guys, so we're going to start off with some body weight pull-ups just to get things warmed up. And then from there on out, we're going to move on to some pull downs. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so the original plan was to go from the 2 sets of warming up with body weight pull-ups to the pull down, but a couple people are on the machine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move on to chest supported rows for horizontal pulls. So let's get to that. All right, guys, so that was actually the first set of chest supported rows. So I'm gonna bring you guys back over here, and I'm actually gonna do another set. But I'm gonna go through some of the cues that I use and I implement with my clients so they can get the most out of the rows and essentially just get the most activation. So one of the issues that a lot of people make with these rows is that they tend to not depress their scapula. So for example, they end up when they end up rowing, they roll and they do this. You're really not essentially working out. You're not getting any lat activation whatsoever. If you guys haven't watched the video that my man Emmanuel right now behind the camera did for Chris Barakat on lat activation, you guys definitely should check that out. I will put a link in the description for that. But like some of the cues that he also implements is you want to essentially depress your scapula. So depress it down. And then when you're rowing, you're thinking about your hands as being hooks. So one of the things that I implement for that, and just to get bicep activation, is I use a pistol grip, which is essentially your thumb and your index finger off the grip. So I set up. Now I'm depressing. So depressing. This right here, that's depression of the scapula. So once I depress, now I'm rowing, and I'm rowing with my elbows, and I'm trying to essentially scrape the floor. So my elbows are straight down. They're not out here. They're depressed. And another thing is, when you're rowing, try to keep your head as neutral as possible. So essentially don't try to cheat the movement by moving your head forward. Keep it neutral. If you need to lower the weight, lower the weight. All right, guys. So we just finished up with the chest supported rows. Real quick, one of the main reasons why I enjoy the chest supported rows is just because majority of my movements are coming from compound movements. So essentially powerlifting specific, being that strength is essentially my goal. So the reason why I incorporate chest supported rows is just because it's less taxing on the lower back, especially after, you know, deadlifting twice a week, relative heavy loads. So, and again, this workout is mainly going to consist of horizontal pulls. So now we're going to move on to dumbbell rows, and I'll go through some of the cues that I implement and try to have my clients try to implement just to get the most benefit out of them. So let's get on to this. All right, so I'm going to pick a fairly something fairly light just so I can explain the movement to you guys. So I'm going to go ahead with a 35-pound slight weight baby. So, all right, so I actually like to do them off the bench. So one leg on the bench, one hand on the bench. So again, with this movement, just like with any row, a lot of people tend to, when they row, they actually row straight up. Again, just missing out the whole point of the movement, which is essentially lat activation. So the cue that I essentially use for this is row towards your hips. So you're essentially not rowing straight up, but you're rowing back towards your hip. So this is essentially what it looks like. So instead of straight up, you're grabbing it and you're rowing towards the hip. Essentially keeping that scapula depressed. So it's not up here, shrugged, but more so depressed and back towards the hip. And just with these light weights, man, like I can already feel the lat activation. So implement that cue. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, so we just finished up with the dumbbell row. We're gonna move on to cable seated rows. This is, majority of you people won't have this this attachment, but it's actually one of my favorite ones to use just because I feel like I could just get so much more lat activation with this one. But let's get to it. All right, guys, so we're coming to the closing of the video of the horizontal pull day. So we're essentially just gonna finish up with some bicep curls and maybe some rail delt flies, and then, I don't know, maybe again a little posing for you guys, show you what my current physique looks like coming into this new year, 2017. So let's get to it. All right, guys, that concludes the horizontal pull day. I sure hope you guys, were able to take away some of the cues that, I use and implemented into your guys' horizontal pull days. And I love to hear you guys' feedback on them and see if how they worked for you guys. But again, that's the end of the video. Let me know if you guys like the video. If you guys like the video, share the video if you want, by all means. Make sure to check out the description box to follow my video editing guy, Emmanuel at EM_films. Also, don't go away yet. You guys have to check out the bloopers. We're gonna move on to wide grip blooper.
So let's get that down and get to the workout.